Nusas at that stage, which I was also involved in, well, I guess there were problems in the organization, like a lot of organizations at that stage, like the Natal Indian Congress, for example. I mean, there weren't that many political organizations. So Nusas had a kind of overdeveloped role at that stage, beyond what it really should have been, because all the organizations of 1976 had been crushed, and then before that, all the organizations in the 1960s had been crushed. So Nusas sort of loomed large, and like many organizations at that time, like the Natal Indian Congress, it was very top-heavy, it was very undemocratic, the decisions were made at the top, and that kind of thing. So one of the early issues involved at that stage was that the president of Nusas, a guy called Oret van Heerden, decided, after consulting various people, I think including Thabo Mbeki, that the best thing he could do was to go into the army. Because this option that people like Richard Steele and Peter Moll had done of objecting was fine for the Christians, but it wasn't going to work for a secular lefty like himself. And that in order to stay involved in the struggle, he needed to just go into the army, keep his head down, and they call that strategic participation. So it was a very controversial thing. A lot of us felt very uncomfortable with accepting that. So I was still involved in Nusas, but there was this issue that never felt right, that this guy, the leader, was going into the army. You know, it just didn't, you know, I'd been in cadets at school. I knew something of what the army was about. And I had friends who'd gone in and done, you know, told me they'd done terrible things on the border. And they were still recovering, you know. I mean, a lot of my friends, because we'd done cadets and we'd learned to shoot and stuff, they'd become officers and lieutenants in the army, and they'd been sent to Angola. And so that just felt wrong to me. So that was an issue which was kind of bubbling away. But because of the way Nusas worked at that stage, there wasn't really room to oppose things. You know, things were very tight, and if you opposed things, you were seen as being on the outside, someone, you know, it was a bit like Thabo Mbeki operated. You had to kind of keep your mouth shut in a way if you wanted to survive in that environment. So that was another aspect of my early politics.